Hey, folks, welcome to the two mix. Sorry we weren't here last week, but Mike had to go on spring break and I had to play golf. So,
Spring? Are you already jumping us up to spring?
well, I guess it would be fall break,
It'd
wouldn't
be
it?
fall break.
But you know
Well, that's
what?
what happens when you're retired. You don't know what season, day, week it is. You have no idea.
But the weather was so warm it felt like
In
spring.
fact, what is the date today, Jimmy? You probably don't even know.
Today is sometime in October.
I can't
Anyway,
wait until I'm you.
we have a lot to talk about today. First of all, I want to congratulate Las Vegas for winning the WNBA tournament.
The
And
Aces.
the Aces, and I want to congratulate AJ Wilson. She won the WNBA MVP. That girl she tore it up.
She did. She was definitely. I watched all four of those games when I was, or actually three. First one I was on the road, but I watched game 2, 3, and 4, and it was dominant performance. I mean, they just swept them, and I think there was one game that was close, and that was it.
Yeah.
And that was actually a blowout the whole way through. I actually turned it off at the towards the second end of the second half, and they came back, and Phoenix almost tied it up, but. Yeah, so congrats to the Aces in Vegas. Got to see them in person, Jimmy. So that's
I know,
pretty
that's
cool.
pretty cool. I think didn't I predict the Aces would win?
I think we all did.
No, I think you predicted.
No, I did not.
Well,
did
we'll
not.
have to look back.
Remember, because I said because I
go
saw him in
visit.
person.
All right, maybe we did. Hey, and then also the way too early NCAA basketball poll came out, the AP poll, and some interesting things. Purdue is number one, and Houston number two. Florida, Connecticut, St. John's number five. But getting to local teams, Kentucky's number 9 preseason, and Louisville is number 11. And then, I mean, it's UNC is number 25, North Carolina. I think
you know what you can do with that poll, Jimmy? You can just go ahead and throw it in the garbage can.
Well,
if football's any indication to preseason polls,
well, that is true.
And those preseason polls.
But
mean nothing.
if you go by this poll, folks, during the month of November, I've never seen more teams playing ranked teams. We've got Florida playing Arizona. And then Alabama plays St. John. That's a number 5 team. That's November 8th. The Florida game's November 3rd. Kentucky plays Louisville. Now that's number 9 against number 11, November 11th. Purdue plays Alabama. I don't know what AD of Alabama was thinking, but Alabama plays the number 1 team, the number 5 team in St. John's by the second week in November. And then you have Kansas playing Duke, Houston plays Tennessee, and Kentucky plays Michigan State again. So November's got some good games, but you're right.
But you know what, Jimmy?
What's that?
It's not basketball season yet.
No, but it's when you're at Kentucky, it's always basketball
because we're
season.
So bad, Jimmy. It's just like it's back to good old times with Kentucky football. We're looking forward to basketball.
Hey, you
season.
never know. We might beat Texas this weekend.
Yeah, well, you know.
And then, of course, we got Major League Baseball going on. Tonight, the Mariners play the Blue Jays. The Mariners are up 2-0. And then tomorrow, the Brewers play the Dodgers. And the Dodgers are up 2-0. And Mark Kane will be here next week to talk about baseball for us. But anyway, let's get on to football, Mike.
Let's get on to football. And since we talked last, Jimmy, a lot has happened in college football. There's just been a major shakeup. I think that probably the biggest thing is Penn State's fall from the top, man. I mean,
well, their
coach. You want to talk about they had aspirations for a national championship at the beginning of the year, and halfway through the season, their coach is fired. They've won. They beat pretty much nobody because the 3 Patsy teams they played, which did I not say you got to play some people at the beginning of the year?
And Villanova were one of them, and I can't remember who the other one was.
But yeah, I didn't necessarily know how good Penn State was, but that just really shocked me that they have been that bad. And it really part of me thinks, how good is the Big Ten overall? And I'm not really trying to take away anything, but they're other than Ohio State, Indiana, in Oregon, their only main big win was at Penn State, who's not looking very good now. So I don't know. I just
not only that, Indiana went to Oregon and beat them,
and that's something I wanted to talk about. I mean, you have to give Indiana credit. I've been skeptical on Indiana a little bit, and the only thing that I could say about it at this point is how good is actually Oregon, because like I said, their only big win was at Penn State, which at the time that seemed like, a great win. And but Indiana's legit. I mean, they're going to be. They play, but
Indiana,
here's the thing: they play nobody else the rest of the year. Now that
Indiana
Penn
can make.
State, they were going to play Penn State at Penn State, and now that game,
Well, you never know that they could still. Penn State's still going to be a tough place.
they still have players.
But I want to talk about Penn State and James Franklin. James Franklin, as we know, got fired this week, and Penn State wants to win a championship, and James Franklin basically got fired. He's 1-18 when Big Ten teams are ranked in the top 10. He's 4-22 against teams in the top 10 over his 12 years at Penn State. That's what got him fired. The 3 losses he had in a row helped get him fired. But I think, this is my opinion, I think Matt Rule will be their next coach, Mike.
Well, rumors are that they're going to go after Ryan Day from Ohio State. Wouldn't that be interesting? But
I think Matt Rule is currently coaching Nebraska in the Big Ten, and he's actually got them ranked in the top 25 in a long time. He's 5-1 at Nebraska. Not only that, Matt Rule played for Penn State. He was a walk-on in 1990 and walked on and played under Joe Paterno. He also met his wife there at Penn State, and he professed his love for Penn State on national TV the other day.
He professed his love.
I love Penn State. But
Yes.
then he backtracked and said, well, I love Nebraska too. I love where I'm at.
Well, I think that the big thing with this, it's kind of, I'm not a big proponent ever of firing your coach in the middle of the season. I think that that's just ridiculous to do. But especially, I mean, Franklin they were just in the playoff last year and actually won a game in the playoff and have gone to some big bowls. And his only knock has been that he hasn't been able to beat Ohio State.
Which it goes back to
but who has? There has been hardly anybody that's beaten Ohio State. And it kind of goes back to this whole thing, when Gus Malzahn was at Auburn, he wasn't Nick Saban. Nobody was beating Nick Saban. He was going 9-3, 10-2 he beat Saban a couple times, but he wasn't winning national championships. And look where Auburn's gone since then. Nothing but down.
If James Franklin had the record at Kentucky that he had at Penn State,
he'd be a god.
Well, we'd probably elect him governor of Kentucky. I'd tell you that much.
We might.
But anyway, moving on. Alabama had a big win over Missouri at Missouri, and Missouri's a tough team.
Well, Alabama's had more than that since we talked last. They beat Vanderbilt at home. Of course, they had the big win before that when they beat Georgia at Georgia. And Alabama's looking like the Alabama of old. Yeah. The only thing with this, again, I mean, Alabama's got to play Tennessee this week. And their schedule is just brutal. And it's going to come down again, I got a feeling, because all these – right now there is 5 SEC teams that are ranked in the top 10. And you have 3 from the Big Ten. But I get that Ohio State beat Texas at the beginning of the year, and they deserve to be number 1. I'm not saying that they don't deserve to be number 1. But they've played nobody. And really, the Texas win now doesn't look as good as what it was when they got the win at the beginning of the year, because Texas has not lived up to their potential, even though they did get a big win this past week against Oklahoma. But it's going to come down to these battles of, does a 3-team SEC loss team should get in over a 1-loss Big Ten team?
Well,
and I don't know.
That's where the NCAA is looking at it. They're not as much as you lose 3 games, but your schedule, because teams can beat up on each other. But last year, what we found out was the SEC wasn't as tough as we thought it was, because Tennessee got blown out.
They did.
And I mean, it's like, okay, but yeah, you're right. And I think Ohio State's legit. I think they will be in the Final Four. I think along with, IU's impressed me right now, Mike, and I think they'll be in there. But
no, IU they deserve their ranking. I'm not knocking IU. It's just hard to just get that stereotype out of your head.
And Texas had a big win over Oklahoma at Oklahoma, but Oklahoma's coach Mateer was just coming off having his thumb worked on and surgery on his hand. And I don't know if that was part of the reason why Texas beat them pretty good. Archie Manning looked a lot better. But
Well, that rivalry game, you can never. I mean,
Yeah. And
you can never. It doesn't matter what the rankings are and what the records are. That rivalry game is just special. And
I still say Oklahoma is my sleeper team.
Well, they still have a great chance to make the playoff, and all these different SEC teams are going to beat up on each other. That's the problem. And I know what you're saying about last year. The SEC did not perform as well in the playoffs as what everybody expected. But I really think that that's going to change this year. And you could have up to 4 or 5 teams from the SEC in the playoff. I mean, if you started the playoff today, you'd have 5 SEC teams, maybe 6 in the playoff.
But yeah, but like you said, they're going to beat up on each other. And we got, as always, folks, every week we have some great games going on. And we got one this Friday night. U of L goes to Miami to play in that game. And
that will be a blowout, Jimmy. It's going to be a blowout.
You know what? I don't think it's going to be. I think it's going to be a competitive game. I think Brom's going to have his team up for this game. But Miami has impressed me. I think I got to pick Miami to win that game. But
I think Miami, unless they overlook Louisville, they'll win that game pretty easy playing down there. And that's not taking any away from Louisville, but Miami's just they're a different level. They're definitely a top 5 team. And they're scheduled.
Well, they're ranked 2, so they.
Well, but not only that, but they have a deserve. Penn State was ranked 3 a few weeks ago, but had played nobody.
Yeah.
So that's my point. Miami is a perfect example of a team that went out and tested themselves out of conference early and proved themselves. And I think if you're a big time program and I'm not saying you have to play all big teams outside your conference, but you should definitely, if you're a major program, you should be playing at least one major out of conference team every year if you want a chance to win the national championship. That's just my opinion.
That seems the way that the NCAA wants it to go, and it's better for the fans to see these big games.
Because if you're going to continue to put teams up there that play nobodies at the beginning of the year, then all these other teams are going to be like, why should I go play Florida State, or why should I go play Alabama out of conference? Because it doesn't mean anything. I'll just go get a nobody win and I won't drop in the rankings.
Yeah.
It's just like, Vanderbilt has been a really solid team all year. They go into Alabama, who's playing great, had just beat Georgia at Georgia and barely lost to them, really had them on the ropes. And I don't understand. How is it they dropped 10 spots? It doesn't make any sense to me. To me, if you go in there and you are right there and you're a play or 2 away from beating the team on the road, you should hardly drop at all. And as opposed to somebody going and beating a nobody.
Speaking of Vandy, LSU is playing at Vandy this Saturday at noon. That's a pretty good game. That's number 10 against number 17. And I'll be honest about it, I'm picking Vandy to win that game.
I'm too. I think Vandy's going to win that game.
Okay.
LSU has not been very impressive. And Kelly seems to be very irritated and on the hot seat somewhat. And I think the Vandy's going to win that game.
Well, I like Vandy because of their quarterback.
What's the spread on that, Jimmy? Do you know?
I think Vandy's favored by 2.5. To be honest about it. Ole Miss at Georgia. How do you see that game?
Wow.
That's number 5 against
speaking
number
of Georgia,
9.
man. Of course, my son, Spencer was at the game. Auburn up 10-0, getting ready to go up 17-0, and the craziest call of the year. Was he in or did he fumble? And
I think they're still looking at that.
They probably are, man. And I thought, I don't know. It was probably one of those, if they'd have called it a score on the field, they probably wouldn't have overturned it. But who knows? I really think if Auburn would have gotten that score and gone up 17-0, they would have won that game. But shoulda, woulda, coulda. But so this week, man, just talk about, like I said, the bloodbath. I mean, Georgia plays Alabama, then goes to Auburn and has to play Ole Miss. I think Georgia will win that game playing at home.
I think Ole Miss is overrated.
Do you really?
Yes. Look, let me put it this way. They came into Kentucky. They only beat us by a touchdown, and we were in the game all the way until they did get 2 scores on us and go up by 10 points, but we did score a field goal. We lost by a touchdown at Kentucky. Washington State came to Ole Miss last week, and Ole Miss only won by a field goal. I think they're overrated. I think Georgia's going to pop their little rear ends.
Well, I think that Georgia will win the game. I think Ole Miss will give them a pretty good game. But really, to be honest with you, Ole Miss can afford to lose that game. Georgia needs that game more than Ole Miss does. Because basically what will happen is if Ole Miss and Georgia, if Ole Miss doesn't go in there and get blown out and Georgia wins, they'll just flip-flop spots, and Ole Miss will drop down to about 9 or so, and then Georgia will probably jump up to about 5 or 6. But both of them will still be in the playoff unless they, it just they're both going to be in the playoff, I think.
And then you have Texas Tech at Arizona State. Arizona State last year made the playoffs, but this year they're struggling.
Well, I put that game down as kind of, Arizona State hasn't really performed. They were ranked at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
But I thought that was an interesting game because a lot of people are talking about Texas Tech being a little bit of a surprise team and they're undefeated. That's a dangerous game for them because Arizona State playing at Arizona State, that could definitely be a game that they could go in and lose and really put them in a situation.
But Arizona State had Scatterboo last year, and
they did. I love that guy, man. I love watching him play,
he's
man.
Good.
I love
Plays
watching
for
him
the
play.
Giants.
Man, that game last Thursday when they played the Eagles, did you watch that?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, he was just amazing in that game.
And
he just
then the
dominated.
other game you've got down here is Texas at UK.
Well, Jimmy, I think we know what's probably going to happen in that game.
Hey, you know what? Texas isn't favored by 2 touchdowns. They're favored by 12.5 points.
Well, we're playing them at home. And Texas obviously has underperformed all year. They've come off a rivalry game, so they're kind of sandwiched in between 2 big games or after 2 big games, and especially last week because they lost to Florida 2 weeks ago and then beat Oklahoma last week. I obviously think Texas is going to win, but I don't know. I mean, we've had 2 weeks to prepare for them. God forbid Stoops has been horrible off buys. So hopefully he's doing something different this year. I'm not picking UK to win, but I do think we'll give them a better game.
Let's go ahead and get to another game.
I do. What? You're not even going to – you're picking Texas. You think it's going to be a blowout?
I'm picking Texas. I don't ever think somebody's just going to come into our house and blow us out. No. But I think reality is set in with me. And
I'll be there, Jimmy, and I'm actually looking forward to seeing Manning in person.
Well, watch Bowles. Concentrate on him because I want a full page report on him. And then what I consider the game of the week is Tennessee at Alabama, number 11 at number 6.
I think that Alabama.
I'm going to call Alabama on this game, of course, but
Tennessee has not looked very impressive the last 2 weeks.
They're still ranked,
and Alabama just always seems to beat Tennessee. Well, I guess they didn't that one year. They hit them on that field goal last year, but I think that Alabama will get a little revenge this year, and I don't think Tennessee's as good. They just have not looked very good.
Yeah,
and they've struggled against Arkansas and Mississippi State. So you never know. That's a big rivalry game, but I do think the only thing I worry about with Alabama is, man, they've had a gauntlet of games, and at some points I'm wondering, are they going to have a letdown? But I do think Alabama.
It'll be against somebody you're not thinking about.
Probably. I wonder who Alabama plays next week after Tennessee.
I don't know right now, but we'll talk about it next week. USC versus Notre Dame.
Well, they're playing this at Notre Dame.
All these games are good, guys, except for maybe the Texas-Kentucky game. But
that's a game Notre Dame has to win if they want to keep a chance of getting into the playoffs, since they've already lost 2 games.
USC is ranked 20. They finally got in.
USC is decent. I don't really think they're all that great, but that's a game that I think Notre Dame will win playing at home, and they have to win it. I mean, if they don't win it, I think they're out of the playoff hunt.
Yeah.
So I think that they will win it playing at home, and probably by a couple touchdowns.
And then in the West Coast, we have Utah playing BYU. Both of these are solid teams.
That's a big rivalry. They hate each other out there. Do you know that?
And I tell you what, it's at BYU, so I got to go take the home team. If it was at Utah, I'd take Utah, to be quite honest about it. But I'm taking BYU.
That game is always crazy too. Like a lot of people don't see that game because usually it's on later at night, but it's always got some crazy implications to it. I'm gonna pick Utah on that.
Okay.
just because it's always a crazy game.
Well, I like it when you disagree with me.
There you
'Cause that
go.
means I'm
Just
right.
because I'm going to say something different than you, Jimmy.
Yeah. And I tell you what, folks, at the beginning, if you're an NFL fan and at the beginning of the year, all these experts predicting teams that where they were going to be, I want you to think about this. Who would have thought that the Ravens would be 1-5 right now?
I
Who would
would.
have thought the Patriots?
I know you didn't because you picked them to go to the
I
Super
picked them to
Bowl.
go to the Super Bowl. Who would have thought that the Patriots would be leading their division at 4-2? They're tied with Buffalo, but they beat Buffalo, so they have the tiebreaker. Who would have thought the Indianapolis Colts would be 5-1, or the Tampa Bay Bucks would be 5-1? Who would have thought that the Chargers in Denver would be tied for that division, and the Chiefs would be in third place?
But the biggest surprise, who would have thought that Joe Flacco would have been the Bengals quarterback?
Yeah, I mean, as a matter of fact,
Old man Joe Flacco is the quarterback for the
he
Bengals.
goes up against Aaron Rodgers this week, and they call it the Icy Hot Bowl.
They went into Green Bay and everybody thought they were going to get blown out. Joe Flacco comes in there off 3 practices, and they were somewhat competitive in that game.
But it's been a topsy-turvy world in the NFL, and
it has.
We just talked about the Bills and Eagles have just lost 2 in a row,
and that means that there's no undefeated teams left. So the Miami Dolphins from 1972 have popped their champ. But it's going to be getting pretty soon where there's not going to be any players left from that team because they're all going to be dying.
But they ought to have their sons and daughters or whatever
something.
Pop the champagne.
I don't think Jimmy there'll ever be an undefeated NFL team again.
Well, there is a team that has 0 on it.
What do you mean a 0?
The Jets are 0-6.
I said undefeated, not yeah.
The Jets have not won a game.
But in all seriousness, especially with a 17-game schedule and the parity in the NFL, and back then you could build teams because there wasn't free agency. That's why you would see players that would be with teams for 10 years. And it's almost in today's game, it's almost impossible for an NFL team to go undefeated. That's why it was amazing, really, what the Patriots did that year. What was it, about 15 years ago, when they went undefeated all the way to the Super Bowl. And really, if it wasn't for that crazy catch,
Eli Manning.
Yeah, and Eli Manning beat him twice in the Super Bowl.
You sort of talked about it, but who do you think the favorites are now? If you had to pick, let's say we're starting over and we're going to pick Super Bowl winners. Who's going to be Super Bowl winners right now? Who's going to
even though the Bills have lost 2 in a row, I still think the Bills will be the team out of the AFC. I still believe in them. Yeah, they lost to Atlanta at Atlanta, and that was a must-win for Atlanta. And I still think Atlanta is a solid team. And the Patriots, Mike Vrabel, we said that Mike Vrabel is a good coach, and I tell you what, I love that that rookie quarterback.
Yeah,
he's going to be the real deal.
Oh yeah,
I've been really impressed with him.
Oh, by the way, I was supposed to tell everybody, Mark Cain is picking Ole Miss. By the way, folks, I forgot to mention.
Yeah, we know better than that.
No, he did. He's playing Georgia.
He's just because he's superstitious. That's it. That's the only reason why.
But
he doesn't really believe that deep down.
All right, what about the Chiefs? Do you think they bounce back with that win over Detroit?
We didn't finish the question there.
What was the answer?
I didn't finish my answer.
Well, get on it. Here's a little.
So I said the Bills. I still think the Bills, and well, I tell you what, that kind of leads to one of our points down here about the Bucks. The Bucks have the best record in the league right now.
The Bucks
are they for real?
No.
I don't think they are either. They've won almost every one of their games on a last-second field goal.
Baker Mayfield is for real, and I think he should be at the head right now. In my opinion, he should be MVP if it was selected.
Oh, there's no doubt. And he lost that rookie receiver Obeka from Ohio State. He might be out for a while. I haven't really seen. I know he had a hamstring or something, but so
who's from the NFC? You haven't mentioned that. You picked the Bills.
I'm going to stick with the Packers just because I did pick the Packers, but the Lions, I still, they were a close second behind the Packers.
My 2 right now is the Lions and the Kansas City Chiefs.
The Chiefs they did look better this past, but then they went into the Jags just last week and didn't look that great.
But they
don't know which Chiefs team is going to show up.
But they get Rice back this week. And he's not like one of these guys coming off an injury. He's been practicing with him. He'll be healthy and ready to roll. And
I definitely don't. You definitely can't count the Chiefs out.
No.
And that division has a lot to be played. That division is pretty tough, though. I do think the Broncos are legit, and I do think the Chargers are legit. So, but that was a big win for that was almost a must win, kind of like the must win for them, the Chiefs with the Ravens. They almost had to win that Detroit game, and so they still got to play the Bills too, and they got to play the Chargers. They got to play the Broncos twice. So
this Thursday, we already sort of talked about it a little bit, but the icy hot bowl. Aaron Rodgers against Joe Flacco. Pittsburgh against Cincinnati at Cincinnati.
The Ben Gable.
And you know what? There is, I've heard a lot of people, they're sort of picking Cincinnati, said don't give up on them.
Oh, man. Well, I hope they're right. I don't think Pittsburgh is really as good as their record, to be honest with you.
They're 4-1 right now. For those
to be honest, they're 4-1, but they really haven't had to play any of the top tier teams. They lost to Seattle. They beat Cleveland, right? They beat Cleveland. They beat the Jets. They beat, I can't remember.
The Jets gave them a tough game.
Yeah, that was the very first game of the year. So none of their wins have come over any kind of quality opponent. And
well, Pitt's not even favored by a touchdown. They're only favored by 5.5 in this game. So, but
it all comes down to, Flacco having another week of practice and getting in with the other players.
This is his first game, so I'm going to go with Pitt.
Well, it's his second game.
Second game?
He just played. He started for him against the Packers.
When you took off, I lost all the time.
Oh, my gosh. Jimmy, what are you going to do without me?
Well, I swear. I don't know. Probably. I don't know.
Anyway, no, he started against the Packers last week.
That's right. He did.
Yes, he
forgot
did.
about that. And then an early game. This is overseas. What's it at? Germany this time or where? L.A. Rams.
Oh, I don't know where it is. They go all over the place now.
Playing Jacksonville, and I think it might be in Germany. I'm not sure, but anyway,
I think it is.
It's a 9:30 a.m. start, so those of you that want to get up early before church and watch the game, you got a good chance. But LA's playing Jacksonville. Both of them have the same record, 4-2 against 4-2, and
that's a big game.
No home court advantage.
Technically, it's the Jags game. Home game.
But how in the heck do you technically say that when you're not playing at home?
What uniform you wear, I guess.
I don't. Yeah, probably that's about it.
That's about it.
Anyway, I think I'm a big Rams fan. I'm a big Stafford fan. I'm sort of older, and I like these older quarterbacks. But this one's hard to pick for me, and the Vegas also thinks so. They give the Rams 3.5.
Well, the Jags laid an egg last week. They disappointed me last week with. Who did they lost to?
An NFL team.
Well, I know that, but I can't remember who they lost to off the top of my head. But they had the big win against the Chiefs and that weird play with down the goal line where he looked like he fell down and then he got up and then ran it in for a touchdown. But
Jacksonville,
I think they did lose, but they're still 4-2.
Was it Houston last week?
No, it wasn't Houston. I can't remember off the top.
Anyway, I guess I can't either.
It wasn't a great team, and I think they played at home too.
Well, that'd be Houston.
No, it wasn't Houston. It wasn't Houston. I do know that. So, but I think the Jags will bounce back. I think they'll play that they'll get a win over the Rams, but that could really go either way. That game is.
And then another game, New Orleans at Chicago. I'm going Chicago because it's at Chicago and New Orleans.
Watch out for the Bears. They're 3-2 now.
I think the Bears have come along.
The Bears, they showed flashes even the 2 games that they lost at the beginning of the year, but they've won 3 straight, and they're 3-2 now, and they're really right there in the division hunt with the Vikings and the Packers and the Lions too, because they all got 2 losses, I think. So.
And then you have Miami at Cleveland. This is a bunch of 1-5 against 1-5, and I'm going with
the Toilet Bowl.
I'm going with Cleveland on this one because it's at Cleveland, and
I'm going to take Cleveland as well. Miami's a wreck right now, and I think that the Browns are always going to. I think if there's a toss-up game like that, they've got that really good defense.
And we talked about coaches. Coach for Miami may be gone at the end of the season too.
He's a dead man walking. He's a dead nerd walking, Jimmy, because he looks like Howdy Doody.
So he's a zombie.
I'm just saying, no. He looks like He does not look like a football coach at all.
All right, and then we have Las Vegas at Kansas City, and I'm going with Kansas City. Rashid Rice comes back for the Chiefs this week, and they got Xavier Worthy back, and they looked good against Detroit, but it was at Arrowhead last week. But I've got to go with Kansas City on this one.
Chiefs are going to win that game, but the Raiders always play them tough, and I do think the Raiders are better. And they could easily have a letdown after that big game against Detroit, but I do think the Chiefs will win.
And then we got Philadelphia at Minnesota. That is a
Philly
tough
could lose
game.
3 in a row.
They could. Dan and Joe are watching this podcast, by the way. They're big Minnesota fans. Who are you going for, Mike?
Well,
by the way, Mark Kane is watching this too. He's a big Philadelphia fan. Who are you going for, Mike?
Well, I could care less. I'm gonna make my pick on based on who I think is gonna win rather than
that's what we should do, because we are professionals here at the two Micks.
I think that the Eagles will bounce back. I can't see the Eagles losing 3 in a row.
I think you're right on that.
Even though it's at Minnesota, I do think that the Eagles will bounce back and win that game.
And then we have Carolina, who is not a bad team this year, 3-3 against the Jets, who we talked about.
That was a good game against the Cowboys last week.
Yeah, but I think Carolina's going to beat the Jets, although the Jets are going to win a game.
I don't know where.
Well, it could be this game. Who knows? But I think they're going to win. And then the next game we're going to talk about is the fired coach goes back home. Vrabel takes the New England Patriots back to Tennessee.
Right, isn't that kind of ironic that he's going to go play them the first game after they just fired their coach,
Callahan,
the guy that replaced him?
Yeah, Callahan. I don't know who's going to take the place.
Well, supposedly there was some issues with him and Ward getting along, and that was probably the reason why. But, the guy was only there for basically 1 season and 4 games or 5 games. And
well, they also looked at, they had the quarterback last year that he didn't do a good job with. And
well, you know my theory on that, Jay. I'm just not a big proponent on firing coaches in the middle of the season.
Yeah, I know. But anyway, this is the pros, so suck it up, Buttercup, and let's go on.
I do think it's not as detrimental in the pros
as it
is college.
What I think New England is one of the surprise teams. I knew Vrabel was a good coach, but I did not expect New England, possibly after this game, could go 5-2.
I think with Vrabel, he's a really good coach. He's kind of like, I kind of equate him to like a Marty Schottenheimer. He's a coach that's he's not going to be flashy. His teams are not going to be flashy. They're going to be fundamentally sound. But when it comes down to the big championship games, he's going to have a hard time winning the Super Bowl or winning an AFC championship.
He's got probably the best quarterback he's ever had.
But that is true. That is true.
Drake May's for real.
Yeah, he is. He is. But he's young.
He could go down as an MVP. Drake May could. But he had Tannehill all those years. Where's Tannehill now? I don't even know.
He's probably retired. I don't know. He was winning with Tannehill. I mean, come on.
His defense was. But he also had, But anyway, New York Giants at Denver. I'm going Denver.
I'm going to take Denver in this, man. But, man, I tell you what, Jackson Dart and Cam Scatabo are fun to watch together, aren't they? Yes, I almost want to cheer for them just because I love how they play.
Almost? Just go ahead and cheer for them.
Well, I'm not a Giants hater, but I just watched that game last week, man, and I just loved how those 2 rookies played.
Yeah, Denver's
I love watching them and how they're like old school players, man. And
Denver's
I just
favored by a little over a touchdown that game. Indiana at the Los Angeles Chargers. I'm going. Even though Indy's 5-1 right now and they've looked good, I'm going with the Los Angeles Chargers. I do like that team.
Playing out there, but I'm going to take the Colts. I'm telling you, the Colts are good, and I think the Colts are going to win that game. I'm not going to bet on it, but I do think the Colts will win that game.
Here's an interesting game: Green Bay at Arizona.
Was Kyler Murray still out? He was out this past week.
I think so.
The wheels are probably going to fall off after that Tennessee debacle. Did you watch the end of that game, that craziness? That was the biggest flop of down the stretch of it. That one guy dropping the ball before he crosses the goal. How many times has that happened?
More than it should. It should never happen. I mean.
You know what? When I was coaching, of course, I know it's a different level. When in high school, we always used to say, take the ball and give it to the ref. Not because of that, because I never would have imagined a player dropping the ball before he crosses the goal line. But that just to me goes down to a lot down about how players are today, about being individuals rather than being a team player, and about look at me, I'm gonna be flashy for social media, and I don't know that probably turned Arizona's whole season around.
Well, I mean, anytime wins are hard to come by in the NFL.
Exactly. So
And
hold on to the daggone ball
they could have been
until you cross the goal line.
They're 2-4 right now.
Hand the ball to the ref, Jimmy.
Well, if I was running, if I could run, but Arizona would have been 3-3 right now instead of 2-4, and it would have made a difference. And then we have a very Washington Commanders at the Dallas Cowboys.
That was my favorite rivalry watching to grow up, the Redskins and the Cowboys. It was just like Pat Summerall and John Madden calling the game. I used to love
They used
that.
to play a lot of Thanksgiving games, didn't they?
Oh my gosh, I used that, and they were so good when I was growing up. Both of them were so good and contending every year. I used to love watching that game. But man, the Cowboys really had a chance to get. They would have been 3-2-1 if they wouldn't have blown it at Carolina. But Dak is playing well. He's playing well. Their defense is what's killing them right now. They can't stop anybody.
So who are you going for?
I'm going to take the Cowboys, but you just never know what the Cowboys are going to do. You really don't.
I'm going with Dallas.
Only because they're playing at home.
Yeah.
But that's it.
And then we have a Sunday night game on NBC. We got Atlanta Falcons at San Francisco. And I tell you what, Atlanta impressed me with their win over the Bills.
Yes.
And that's why I think Tampa Bay may not come out of their division. Atlanta looked good with London, the receiver. He played well. And then Algier, the backup quarterback to Bijan Robinson. I mean, they got a 3-punch right there. And Robinson ran for what, 233 or 2?
He's one of the top backs in the NFL.
And I just San Francisco.
Are you picking them though?
I'm picking Atlanta.
You're picking Atlanta at San Fran, huh?
Yes.
On a Sunday night.
Yes.
The only thing I worry about Atlanta, as soon as I try to give them some credit, they like when they went into Carolina and they got shut out. Remember that a few weeks ago?
They got blown out. They didn't get shut out.
I don't think they scored a point that game. I think they got shut out.
They did.
They got shut out, and it's like you can't. It's like they are just multiple personalities.
Well, they got a rookie quarterback. Basically, he's in his second year, but he didn't play the whole season last year, so he's still a rookie.
Sure.
But Penix is coming along. He made some good decisions in that Buffalo Bills game.
He's a good quarterback.
And, I mean, I'm just going with Atlanta. I think they got it. Like I said,
I did pick Atlanta to win that division, but I don't think I think they'll have a letdown, and San Francisco will win that game playing out there.
And then Monday night, you got Tampa Bay at Detroit.
Man, that's gonna. Of course, Tampa Bay used to be in that division. Remember that one back in the Favre days and stuff. And but they're playing at Detroit, and Detroit's going to be mad after losing to Kansas City last week.
At Kansas City.
I
mean, I've got Detroit in this game. I think Detroit's going to win.
I think Detroit's going to win, but you can never. The way Baker Mayfield plays and the way he just gunslings it around.
I have a lot of respect for Baker.
Plus, they got the receiver out, so I think Detroit wins that game playing in Detroit.
And then
we got 2 Monday night games.
Yeah, I don't know how long they're going to do this, but I like it because the game comes on an hour early.
Because you're retired and you can just watch it and not have to worry about
that's
going
not
to work
what I
the
like
next
it.
day.
I don't fall asleep before the game's not over with. I get to watch the whole thing. Houston at Seattle. Houston's probably been one of the biggest disappointments. You're talking about a playoff team.
But they have won 2 in a row.
Yeah, they were 0-3.
Yeah.
But they're at Seattle, and Seattle's probably been a surprise team for me. I'm going with Seattle on this one.
I think Seattle will win that game. And it's kind of, though, a must-win for Houston. They go down to being 2-4. And the Colts, especially if the Colts get another win, it's going to be tough to make it back in that division. And the Jags are 4-2 as well. So, and I think Seattle will win, but I do think Houston will put up a really good fight. You know what that means, Jimmy? That's the end of our schedule.
It is.
We're to Jimmy's gripe of the week.
My gripe of the week. All
What
right,
has
folks.
pissed you off this week, Jimmy?
No, it's going to, but this is my gripe of the week. All these colleges out there, you sell your fans season tickets, and they're not cheap. They cost a lot, just like Kentucky. That's who my example is going to be. Well, I think if you have a poor team and they're losing, you should give part of the money back to the season ticket holders. You should pay them. The WNBA did it this weekend. They were only charging $6 a ticket to go watch the championship game in the WNBA because nobody was showing up. The same thing. Kentucky, all you other teams that were supposed to be good in the college, start refunding your season ticket holders. They need more money. And that's my gripe of the week.
Well, you can gripe all that you want. That's never going to happen. I'll tell you that.
I do not expect you to reply on my gripe of the week.
Not going to happen, but Jimmy's got to pee. So you know what that means, folks. That means it's the end of our show. And we'll be back next week. No breaks next week. So we'll be back again. And hopefully you'll tune in. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, please subscribe. This has been the 2 Micks. Peace out.